How's it going, guys? I just want to come down here to San Francisco to the Sports Palace. We have the Butch Curry Classic that's going to be happening at Warriorz Warriorz Barbell Club in June 6th of this year. So prior to that meet, I thought it'd be really cool to come down here and talk with both of these guys and get some perspective of them and their training and kind of their accomplishments, just to allow everyone to know more about who these gentlemen are. So the first question I have for both of you, for Jim and for Butch, and you guys can answer however you'd like, is how did you guys become friends? Because you guys seem to be with each other all the time. Was it you were drunk one night, got into a fight, and then everything worked out, or was it just through weightlifting? What happened? So, who won't answer
first?
Well,
I first met Butch at the 1975 Junior Nationals, along with Artie Dreschler and Mark Cameron, who were all top hitters.
That's the old Junior Nationals, the American Open version, basically.
Okay.
The big nationals.
So then I just started seeing him at various competitions, and we just hit it off as friends. And then he moved out here in 1978 or 77. 77. Because he was looking for a place to train, and I had a good facility and had great weightlifters, so he moved out here to train with under me with my weightlifters, which is Ken Clark and Mario Martinez and Tom Hertz, and Bruce Wellham was just winding down, and Dan Cantoria was gone at the time.
He come in every now.
Yeah. So I mean, I had a really good training situation, so that's where it came.
That's good. So it was a training environment which drew you to come here, and then through that, you guys just developed a relationship that's kind of lasted for some time.
That's 40 years. Yeah.
40 years, okay. One of the questions that I have first for Butch, because the meet is kind of in honor of you, want to find out more about you.
Remember, you're not supposed to name a meet after somebody until they die, so I'm a little worried about this.
So please don't die. Yeah. So what got you into weightlifting, and about how old were you when you started?
My dad was a weightlifter, so I was brought up in the sport. I lifted in my first meet at I was 13. It was June of '66, so it'll be 50 years next year. And I've kind of been doing it ever since. I've been around it at least. I have never officially retired, but
there you go.
I'm broken, so I don't compete anymore.
Okay, that's good. And Jim, what got you into weightlifting?
Well, I just wanted to be bigger, faster, stronger. In 1950s, I was always interested in sports, and so the best athletes in my school just had better bodies. So they didn't lift weights; they were just natural,
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, how can I build up my body like that? So I, followed Jack LaLanne, Charles Atlas, and then I bought a weightlifting course by Joe Bonomo, and I started following that. I started following Strength and Health magazines. And right off the bat, in those days we did a press, a snatch, and a clean and jerk. And right off the bat, I liked those 2 lifts and 3 lifts plus squats. And just liked doing it. And so then I just got more and more into it, and it really helped me achieve as high a level athlete as I could. I went to San Francisco State all conference and was valuable defensive player on the team as a 200-pound defensive tackle, but I could clean and jerk 330 pounds, 150 kilos. So in those days, people weren't lifting weights. So I was knocking the crap out of these guys.
There you go.
I was dynamically, explosive, and so it helped me achieve a high level of, Division II. I wasn't a big guy, so I played in Division II. But anyway, so it really made a big difference in my athletic life, and I really liked doing it. Got an opportunity to go in the gym business in 1968, and here I am 47 years later. No, it's 48 years later, I think. Anyway, it's a long time. And but weightlifting has always been a part of my life, and I've always done it, and I've always so I was different. In those days, gyms were biceps and bench presses. Everyone big arms and bench press, and so I was doing weightlifting, and so I just growing and growing.
That's good. And Butch, you said that with you being involved into it, kind of coming from your father and those things, it's I find that most people that are driven, and I find both of you as very successful people. Not only weightlifting, but just in life and the things that you've accomplished. Do you also feel that being driven to be stronger and being driven to do things, is that also one of probably the cornerstones for your guys' relationship? You guys both appreciate hard work and those things. Is that one of the things that drawed you to Jim?
Well, coming to his gym, it's like my dad was my first coach. He did that until I got to college, so it was about 7 years. Mm-hmm. No, it was the first 10 years or so. I don't know. It was the first bunch of years, and then after my first year in college, he wasn't seeing my workouts enough, so I started writing my own workouts, and I got myself to the Nationals, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was nice to come out here, meet a coach that knew what he was doing, and just, come to the gym and not care. He tells me what to do and I do it, you know. And I learned a lot from Jim that way, and I've always stuck around. And I've helped him at meets, and that's how I learned to coach on the platform and stuff. So, but yeah, no, it was really fun. We were in Chicago in the year I won the juniors and seniors, '79, and I'm warming up for the clean and jerk. I'm ahead of the snatch. I'm warming for the clean and jerk, and it was a real bad set. We're on those old horsehair mats or something like that. So I pulled in the clean and I fell on the floor. And then Jim goes to the table and jumps my opener. And the guy goes, well, he doesn't need to do that. He just needs to do this to win. And Jim said, we didn't come here to win. We came here to kick ass. So I've always liked that.
There we go.
We had terrible warm-ups, but he went 6 for 6 there?
No, 5.
Oh, 5 for 6. We had terrible warm-ups, but I knew from based on his training and the warm-up room situation that he'd be okay on the platform.
Yeah. And that's that trust you can develop with someone that you trust, and also at that point becomes, he's your coach, he's your friend, you just know that he knows. Yeah, and I think that's something to also be examined for a lot of the younger lifters too, is just trusting your coach that they know your workouts, that they're really following what you're doing and understanding. To trust them in those situations, because the day of a meet, you're supposed to be an athlete, right? You're supposed to be able to compete. I guess one of the things I would like to ask you, Butch, first is you've mentioned some stories, but could you explain your career, and when you explain your career, maybe just things that really stand out to you? What are the most significant things in your career as a lifter? And then post-lifting, what are some of those things that are important to you as your career just being involved in weightlifting?
Like I said, I started in '66. Back then, we were in AAU sport. They had the Junior Olympic program. And we didn't have a national junior Olympic meet like that, the national youth meet. Heck, back then, there were guys who made Olympic teams that's the only international trip they went on that year. And if that was the only team they ever made, that was it.
That was Tommy Kono's first international meet. It was the Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was a different era. It was spread out more. It was definitely scaled in order. So I always wanted to do a junior Olympic meet because they would look at the high total for the body weight class in the age group and send out a patch and a certificate. And one year when I went from I think it was 13-14 to the 15-16 group, and so I went from 14 to 15, I won 5 titles. Wow. Things like that. And I had records that, because of the press, I have some records that still stand, but most of my records were beat by Ricky Lujan on the way up, and then later on the ones that he didn't get, Kurt White got. So I was increased. I lifted in the Junior Mets in New York, which is our Junior Association championship, not the age group. AU was, like I said, it was a B B Association championships, the junior. The senior was for people, the junior was for people that hadn't won a junior or a senior title, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So at the Junior Mets one year, I broke Pete Rawlink's snatch record, and at the time he was American record holder, so I said, okay, I'm on, that those are the indicators that you're on your way, little things like that. So
yeah.
I like that was good. I hated the collegiate meet. I took 3 seconds in the collegiates. It really annoys me. I never won that one, but I won the juniors, the seniors,
teenage,
juniors, seniors. Yeah, one of my first teenage nationals at 17 was really fun. They did, where I grew up in New York, they were like, Junior Olympics had a 16, 17-year-old group, and they were like, no, you're old enough, the heck with that. They didn't even compete in New York. So I was doing lifts in the open meets that would have won titles there too, but so. And I don't know, what else was the highlight? I thought of one the other day, somebody asked about this. What was the big one?
Well, I mean, you got the Olympic trials.
Olympic trials. 1979 was the first nationals I won. I had never gone 6 for 6 in my life. I made the first 5 attempts, and I'm about to go out there for the last one. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm getting a little nervous, and Jeff Sanzeri, one of our lifters here, I said, I take him, I push him back, and I go, now you calm me down! It's like, and just saying that was enough to calm me down.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is, on the way out, I came out, and Dave Shepard, who was my dad's childhood friend and one of my idols, was there right in the stands as they came out. And I said to him, this one's for you, Dave. And it was a 402, and he had never officially made 402. So that was pretty cool. That was a nice thing.
Dave Shepard was a silver medalist in the Olympics. And
oh, wow.
World record holder. And he's the one I've ever seen a picture of a guy doing a big snatch on the beach.
Yeah.
That's the
oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so that was a highlight. And of course, winning 2 nationals. The Olympic trials, the fun thing there is that Joe Paleo had come out of retirement. He had retired for 10 years. And he was notorious for head games. And we're there warming up, and I chased after him. Come on, Joe, I'm ready, let's go. And he went up to my dad and says, Curry, your son's crazy. He goes, yeah, I know, isn't it great? Because I knew that he was a good lifter, and he made the team too, but he was a little nervous, and I knew I could play on that. I love playing the head game, so.
That's good.
Well, see, Butch was someone that no one thought that he would win the championships he won or make the Olympic team, and he did. Because he performed and counted. And there were a lot of people who were just shaking their heads when they just couldn't believe that Butch beat him.
As a matter of fact, in the Strength and Health article that Bruce Wilhelm wrote, Bruce gives a lot of left-handed compliments, but Bruce is quoted saying, if Jim Schmitz can make a champion out of Butch Curry, he can make a champion out of everybody.
There you go.
Like I said, way to honor a guy.
There you go.
Yeah, but Bruce is a little left-handed with his compliments, right?
Yeah.
Or he gives you a compliment in a slam.
Yeah. Well, it's competitor, right? That's it.
No,
maybe.
that's Bruce's personality.
Bruce's personality?
Yeah,
Okay.
He's quite a character too.
That's good. So those are some good ones. While we're still on the actual career, I'm gonna pass that question to you about Butch. What are some of the things with coaching him or being around him that you would say stand out about his career as a lifter?
Well, yeah, when he came here, he brought a lot of enthusiasm and love for the sport, which he has today, where a lot of other guys who did it ahead of him have kind of moved on. Well, he still has it, and so he had it then, and it was contagious. You get a bunch of them. I have it, he has it, Tom Hurts has it, and there are other guys that had it, but we still have it.
Yeah.
And so there's a passion for the sport. It's like we used to say, weightlifting is the disease. Unfortunately, it's not contagious.
Yeah.
But now I think it might be. There's more and more people doing it. But anyway, it's just, so he brought a lot of enthusiasm and a positive, you can do it attitude to everybody. And when you get a good group together, they all lift each other up. They all lift their bigger weights that they probably would have made if they were training in another situation. But just, and it's just like, you look at the professional sports teams, like the 49ers, they had their era when everything just clicked. Well, I had my era in the 80s when everything just clicked with all these guys and all worked together. And you just kind of, it's like the stars bring certain people together and it works really well together. Sometimes you get a lot of good people together, but they don't work well together. They don't produce real well. And so even though it's not a team sport, it's good to have good training partners and be in a good training environment.
Well, that's good. And what would you say that post actually lifting? I mean, you and Jim do a lot for not only weightlifting, but specifically the PWA, our association, which I think, being in this sport now for some time and actually starting to understand it more, I have a really big appreciation with my background being in CrossFit. I mean, even though we were one of the first affiliates to actually go out and actually get a official US Lifting Barbell Club. I remember coming to PWA meetings, just wanted to learn more because it always interested me so much. And now being able to transition to be able to lift at nationals this year and just grow our barbell club. One of the main things that I think that the reason why I want to do this as well is I feel that when you are saying you're doing something, you want to be a part of something, we talked about this earlier, you want to know why it's where it's at, why it's where it's at now and how it's out there. And then two, when I first started out, we're that crazy zombie singlet that's now banned, but you're going out there and you just want to be a part of it and you're doing it, but you also want to learn to appreciate it and who those people are. I mean, since my first meet, I've seen both of you, and now for the past 5 years I've been competing, I see you guys all the time. And now it's like, wow, now I know who you guys are. It's not just these two guys that are always at the meet. I'm like, wow, these guys have done these things. So like what you guys are doing in the PWA, what you've done just for weightlifting in general, what are some of the things in your careers that have stood out that make you say like, man, I'm really proud that I've done this for either the organization or just for weightlifting or things that you're a part of? I mean, just being at all the major meets and all the local meets means a lot, but what are things that just first, like for you in weightlifting, post-lifting has been like really cool things for your just career in weightlifting?
Well, the organization used to have a national meeting every year, and you had delegates from the area, so I was an athlete's rep with that for a long time. And then through that, I went up on USOC on their Athletes Advisory Council and the Board of Directors. That was really intense. We learned a lot there, and learned how to run stuff. And then as time went on, it was finally my turn to be the president here, and I took over, and nobody else wanted to do it. And some of the stuff I like doing, some of the stuff is getting ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Being an administrator is good, bad, and ugly. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, all last meeting they slapped me around a little bit, but I'll get them back.
Well, that's, there are people that you have to mention before us. And I never met Ed Yarrick. Ed Yarrick did it before Don Wilson and Dick Knopmeyer. These are two guys that really show up like we do. They showed up and did all the
those are the guys in charge when I got here at 77.
And so I picked up the torch from them, and then I handed the torch to Butch to handle the local stuff. And then it's, I'm always the guy that says no at the competitions to people doing crazy things because I want our sport.
Which is good.
I want our sport to have a high standard. So I want people to be proud that I'm in a sport. Just for example, like wearing a proper uniform. I don't want. At one time, people used to go out there in shorts and t-shirts, and it just was shabby.
Yeah.
And then, then people, you can't wear, screw this president or go with that person. You can't be making political statements or foul scene statements on your lifting gear. This is a sport. That's what you want. And so we try to make it as standardized and as legitimate as possible. So therefore you follow the rules and so people actually have participate in a well-organized sport.
And I think that's a good thing for people to understand too. And that's, like I said, I was coming from nothing wrong with CrossFit. Sometimes we can get a little crazy.
CrossFit's fine.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that like some of the things that I didn't know, and then when I learned or found out, it's like, okay, this makes sense, and this is where you're coming from. So I think for a lot of people when they see this, now they know where you're coming from, and just because I'm sure, I know, but just for people viewing to this for the first time in public too, if you don't mind, your career in weightlifting and the teams that you coach and what got you into weightlifting, I think could provide better perspective for the relationship that you guys have. So what are some of the things that you're proud of?
Well, it's a long list. 10 Olympians, Dan Cantori, Ken Patera, Bruce Wilhelm, Butch Curry, Tom Stock, Ken Clark, Mario Martinez, Don Nguyen, John Bergman, David Langen, 10 guys. That was a dream to make the Olympic team. We did. And then Mario, of course, got a silver medal at the Olympics.
You coach those guys?
Yes. And of course, also coaching Ken Patera, the first American to clean and press 500, clean and jerk 500 pounds. Bruce Wilhelm, the first American to snatch 400 pounds. And Mario Martinez, the first American to snatch over 400, clean and jerk over 500 in the same contest. And Mario was 10-time national champion, a 3-time Olympian. And then, of course, Ken Clark was a kid that just came in off the street. I have 2 kids, what I call them, from the sidewalk to the Olympics. Ken Clark and Tom Nguyen, just a couple guys that just joined the gym to build themselves up and saw us doing the weightlifting and got into it. And Ken Clark was a several-time national champion and made the 84 Olympic team. Tom Nguyen made the 96 Olympic team. And it just go on and on, the uniqueness of all these guys, their hard work, their dedication, and how meaningful it is to them to be an Olympian. Mm-hmm. And so how meaningful it is to me to also have contributed to their Olympianism. And of course, I've been an Olympic coach. It's an incredible honor to be it.
And how many times were you the Olympic coach?
I was 2 times head coach and 1 time assistant coach. Head coach in 1980 when we, due to the boycott, Jimmy Carter, he always boycotted the Olympics because the Russians invaded Afghanistan. Okay. And then because they boycotted, so we didn't go. And then I was a coach for that team, but we went to China for a competition in China. It was very, very interesting. And then in 1988, I was a head coach in Seoul, Korea. And then in 1984, I was a competition director for the 84 Olympic Games, and that was like getting a PhD in sports administration. It was incredible. And that's where Mario got us. So I was able to do the competition director and coach. Coach Mario Martinez and Ken Clark. Ken got 5th, and Mario got 2nd. And then I was assistant coach in 1992. Roger Nielsen was the head coach, and I had Mario Martinez on the team, and David Langen, and I also coached Jeff Michaels. I did Jeff Michaels' program. And so and then there's lots of other people who maybe I didn't coach, like Al Feuerbach, a 3-time Olympian world record holder shot. He trained with us. He competed with us, and so I didn't necessarily coach him, but he's got my fingerprint on him, as does Jeff Michaels and John Abramson. And even Bruce Jenner used to come and train at my gym.
Really?
And who are probably leaving out? Oh, Rick Eden. Rick Eden came and so and all these people, and Tom Goff. I mean, I can go on and on. These people that they trained at my gym one time or other, or like in Tom Goff's case, his dad. I started his dad off, and his dad, Tom Goff went on to become an Olympian. And so, besides the 10, there's many others that I, kind of enhanced their chances of being an Olympian just by having a facility where they could train at.
Which is what draw Butch in.
Yeah. And also, because we ran good competitions with correct officiating. So a guy comes out here and he's lifting, then he goes to the nationals, he's going to be fine.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Because we follow the rules. And a lot of times you go to the nationals.
Well, it's good. I've gone to gym red light before.
Yeah.
It's good though. Yeah, it's good for the lifter.
Well, sometimes the red light is the best coaching tool.
Oh, I believe so. Yeah.
Because what did I do wrong? Well, now you know. Because
Now you fix it.
Because in the gym, everybody's going, "Oh, yeah, that was a good lift," and they're real, you made it, but maybe it wouldn't pass the competition. So we see a lot of that. It's usually more of it at the national level, when kids come in the first nationals and they're just terrible because what passed locally isn't going to pass
At the national. Yeah.
But now we always get some kids that they're brand new to the sport, and so they got real poor technique concerning the press out and the rebending and maybe dropping the bar and all that stuff. The little things that they don't do right. So that's why I run a strict program. We try to run a strict program here so that when they go to the national level,
they're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's good about this too is hearing about this and hearing a guy that's coaching it. It's good that we're here at the Sports Palace and the people he's coaching. One of the things that he said previously is that you've always had an energy or a love for the sport that's been contagious, that creates a conducive atmosphere for training, right? Which is good. But those are the things to understand for the people that see you guys at the meet. Is like you said, you guys still have that passion for weightlifting. So the other thing too is that when they're getting the red light and they're getting that, and then they come ask, you want to tell them, and it's not this guy that's sitting in chairs, this guy that made an Olympic team, it's this guy that coached an Olympic team, like, we're going to hold you to standards because we want you to be better. And I think more people need to understand that as they come into competition, and they need to understand who's in those chairs. Who is it that's out there is officiating, understand who's in there. What would you say, based upon not only being involved with PW and weightlifting, though, what has been able to keep your passion for weightlifting? What is the thing that keeps you going? So, because you're right, some people can fall out of love with it.
they do.
Like officer and a gentleman, I got nowhere else to go. This is where I am. This is what I do. My brother says this is what Currys do. My dad was a lifter. My brother coaches at FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University back east, and he's the head of Team New Jersey. And he's a hard ass, but he's involved with it that way. It's, my sister married a weightlifter, so. What else is there? I go to meets anywhere. I'm a guy that I don't care if it starts at 7 in the morning, goes to 3 the next morning. That doesn't bother me. Whereas other people want to go home. Some of the people on meets here want to get out at 9 o'clock at night, no matter what. When I was a second or third year of lifting, we went from New York to the Philly Open, which was a big meet in January. I lifted the morning session. We left my house at 6 a.m., got down there for the weigh-in. I think I started lifting at 8 or whatever it was. And back then, you weighed in, the weigh-in's over, you started lifting. There was no extra hour break. So that went on, and they had 3 sessions that day. Rick Holbrook set a bunch of junior world records that lasted forever. They really did last a long time. And then Bednarski was attempting a world record at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that meet went on that way. And then we stopped to get something to eat on the way home and got home at 6 a.m. And that was great to him, and I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Giancarlo, how soon before you're ready?
Like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can just move over there. He can train. We can have him in the back.
Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, we got guys in here ready to train right now. Yeah.
I can't. I don't understand how I don't sleep at national meets, but I don't. It's like I just seem to 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night. That's fine.
Yeah, I like to see every lift too because you just never know. So I just enjoy it. I enjoy.
Well, who's going to become what?
Well, but I enjoy people enjoying the weightlifting. Yeah, like who's going to be the next star? And and seeing the development, like this kid C.J. Cummings, for example. When I saw that same development with Oscar Chaplin when he was a very young kid. I mean, Oscar Chaplin went on to win the Junior World Championship and 2-time Olympian and so forth. And he's from Savannah, Georgia, coached by Mike Cohen. And so that's why I like to go to. I can't make them all. So I try to make the national juniors every year. And I haven't missed the senior nationals since I started in 1970. I haven't missed one since. And so the American Open. Those are the big 3 that I try to make every year. And I've never missed the nationals, but the others sometimes things come up and I miss. But then I've also made every world championship since 1976.
Wow.
So because I just really enjoy it, even though
and the Olympic games in between.
And all the Olympics, yeah.
Except
and so it's just like we just, it's our passion. I tell people climb mountains and do crazy things like that. Well, this is my crazy thing, and I really enjoy. And I'm really enjoying now that all these people, and it's thanks to CrossFit. I'm a fan of CrossFit. My only knock on CrossFit is that they abuse the equipment. They slam the weights down and throw them down. Because here, like these my weights are very old. And I take care of them. You don't drop my weights, within reason. But it's, I got weights that go back, 1964. My first Leco barbell set right behind you, and we take care of the weights because it's our tools. So. I forgot where I was going with this, but just talking about
the passion.
Oh, the passion, yes. And so I really enjoy doing it tremendously, and I enjoy seeing other people. I enjoy the fact that now I get people, and again, it's thanks to CrossFit and the internet, that come here and they don't necessarily want to weightlift as a competitor. They just want to do the exercise, and they like doing it. And I've always been mystified why more people don't like to snatch and clean and jerk. It's a great activity.
Yeah.
And now that's happened. People are liking snatching and clean and jerking, and not everybody wants to compete, but they try it. That feels good. I like it.
It's fun.
It's a great way of exercising, and so I'd say we now have approximately 15,000 registered weightlifters in the USA, but there's probably 30 million people weightlifting, buying shoes, belts, equipment. So this is what's held us back for so many years, and we could never get a sponsor because we don't have that many people doing it to sell stuff to. But now you can buy lifting shoes at the corner store almost. They're everywhere. And lifting shoes and barbells, and the Rogue Barbell Company is an example, and your caffeine and kilo, and these things are because of weightlifting. But CrossFit first, and then
all those things expand. I think before we get this guy training, I want to be able to kind of go around here and you guys talk about some stuff in here. But before we get to that, very briefly from both of you, we'll go Butch first and then Jim. This video is intended to tell people more about you, Butch, and then to also get some perspective of weightlifting. But one of the things is that for people to understand who you guys are, because you got to have a team. I mean, whether you believe it or not, you guys are always together, so it's good. What is some of the advice, simple advice that you give for somebody who is this generation of lifter? It's a newer lifter, maybe they're just getting into the sport. What are some principal things, Butch, that you would think, and then Jim will ask you, that you would say, like coming from your experience and who you are, what's something meaningful about the lifts or about training or about lifting that you would want to pass on to those guys?
Wow, don't believe everything you see on YouTube. There's a lot of lifts on there and there was a post on Facebook this week. Somebody was like, hey, these people that post a video and say, what do you think? Because you're asking knuckleheads what to do with knuckleheads. You're never going to learn that way. Get a real coach. Try to find somebody. And don't be afraid to go to one gym and not like that and go somewhere else. There are fits with different coaches and stuff.
Okay. So find a coach, get a gym, and don't just put stuff there on the internet and ask everybody.
I mean, occasionally you do, but I see some stuff and I'm like, and even from friends of mine that are coaches, I'm like, why are you posting this crap?
Yeah.
But I don't say it.
But and that's what's led to a lot of your success. You found this gym, and you turn around and made some really big teams, and that's something that you believe in too. So for the people that are out there lifting maybe in the garage of things, go find a coach, go find a barbell club, sign up, get going. Even
in the 70s, before I got out here, Jim had a bunch of guys that would drive up from San Jose every couple of weeks. There's only one guy came up 3 times a week, and that was Bruce Wilhelm. And he's the only one that made the Olympic team and lifting out of that group. So.
And then that name was Mario Martinez, who drive up from Salinas, right by the San Jose Y, and keep coming up here
to train with you guys.
Yeah.
What's some information, Jim, that you would like to pass along for people for weightlifting? And
start light and develop your technique and workout capacity in the beginning. Don't try to progress too fast. You may want to watch a contest before you compete in a contest. Don't take up weightlifting on Monday and get in a contest on Saturday.
Yeah.
And take your time and be patient and hang in there and learn how to do it correctly. And like Butch says, seek out a good coach, a good training environment. There's so many of them around now. When my place was a training center, it's because it was the only one around. There was no Olympic training center. There was York Barbell. There was Chicago. There was my place. There was one in Los Angeles. There were just a few little training centers that were by individuals like myself that had them going, and so then that's how we work with those things. But now we've got so many, like in the Bay Area here, we've got Freddie Miles' club, we've got your club and Midtown, and then there's Cal Strength, there's a Catalyst, there's a Max's Gym,
Palo Alto.
Palo Alto. And there's so many places where you can really get first-class training and facilities, and that we didn't have that in the old days. So that's what's really good now.